Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. My name is David Van Hooklam, CEO of Krow Software. I'm really excited today to be joined by Yannick Abraham. And Yannick is part of the organization Drakya, a consulting firm based out of Montreal, Canada. And Drakya is a growth partner. Drakya helps professional services companies achieve growth through digital transformation. Drakya is a Krow as well as a Salesforce and a WebMerge implementation and consulting partner, and a fast-growing partner at that. And today's webinar is going to be focused on Yannick and his organization and how he's optimized all of these solutions to really drive his services business forward. And seeing the substantial growth that he is seeing in a very short period of time. So really excited to have Yannick on the call with us today. Yannick, with that, I'll pass it over to you. And thanks again, everyone, for attending. This session will be recorded as well. We'll make sure that you get access to the recording after today's webinar. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to Yannick Abraham. Yannick, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, David. Very excited to be here, guys. And as you mentioned, David, we are Salesforce and a Krow implementation partner. And as any good partner should, we are using Salesforce and Krow to operate our business. And I must say it's thrilling. For me, it's a pure pleasure when I can have the chance to go in and optimize and configure our environment. So we are trying to push the envelope. We want to be a role model for our customers and for you guys. We quite often see our customers as our partner. We want you to grow. We want you to continually improve your environment. And the best way for us to do that is also to try to push the envelope on our side and try to show you what can be done on the platform. So today, what I'm trying to do, and David, if you have any question, and you guys, you can always write in the chat window. But the idea for today would be to bring you in our world, in the Drakya's world, and see how we can move through a process and bringing to infinity the customer that we're going to be looking at. So Bill Bob from the to infinity, how we can bring him as a new customer in the Drakya's family. So the agenda and the timeline that we're going to look at is we're going to start by looking at the kind of the close one or the sales process with document generation, as you mentioned, David, WebMerge, and how we can optimize that process. After that, I went marketing on my labels here. So don't miss a beat is project execution and also collaboration, but with a twist. We're going to look at community. Krow community, so how we can expose things through the Salesforce Krow community. Next part would be in the standard process would be the pass, go, and collect, so invoicing and providing visibility to your customer. And then I am growth. This one I don't think we're gonna have time to look at it today. We can do a subsequent webinar, but the idea is to how can you implement a strategy in your team to be able to improve your environment and grow as well with the platform. Make sense, David?
Absolutely. Looks great.
Perfect. Okay, so let's switch. Again, if you recall, we're talking about to infinity. It's an opportunity I've been working on for quite a while with Bill Bob. And good news, I received an email from Bill Bob today. So what he's saying is that, I'm guessing that every one of you can see my screen. So the board loved the roadmap and the budget is good. They would like to add the employee contract module that we gave them a demo. And then he's asking for our service contract. So as you can see, I'm in Gmail. The thing is that this is all available in Gmail, but also in Outlook. If you're looking on the right side here, I have a panel. I'm not sure if a lot of you guys are using it, but within that panel, I can do several things. First here, I have a log email button, so I can just log that email quite easily to whatever I want here. So you see, I see my contact, my opportunity, my account, my cases, but I also see my project and everything related to Salesforce. In that case, it's related to that Krow, that opportunity, which is a Salesforce opportunity. So all the data I'm looking at here on the right side, it is Salesforce. It's just a view within the Gmail application or the Outlook application in other cases. What I want to do here, because I'm trying to get that deal moving, so I want to change the next steps to generate the service contract. And then I'm going to also change the stage to be we're in value prop. Now we're going to change the proposal price quote, so we can go ahead and generate the quote. So this being done, I'm going to go back now to the full view because I want to continue my process. I don't want to just do it through my email, my Gmail. So now I'm opening up Salesforce. First thing maybe to notice is that we are using Lightning, but also we are using Console. Console might not be available for all of you guys. It needs to have a Sales Cloud license or Salesforce licenses, but it does have an impact on efficiency, so you might be able to inquire about it. This being said, the navigation and within the page that you see within, it's going to be the same thing, whatever you're in the console mode or in the tab mode. So first thing was that Lightning Console. We're also pinning tabs here on top. We're going to look at those a bit later. One thing that I've come to appreciate was the notes. Notes are great, I think. The UI is good. You can open up several notes. You can put it pretty much everywhere. So you have I have a notes that I've started for the Krow webinar. I have my notes of that opportunity here. I can share them, and it's real time. Okay, so this is kind of a high-level view of what an opportunity in our system look like. So like we're saying, we just changed the stage. So we're only in the first day in the proposal price quote. We're 7 days in value prop. Maybe you don't know about this, but with PAT like this, you can have a panel here that can expand, and it's called guidance for success. So for each stage, you can put questions, and then you can put specific fields that needs to be modified in a certain part. Otherwise, sometimes it's maybe a bit difficult to go in and look at all the fields. So by having this, if you have a bigger team or if you want to onboard people, that PAT thing can work not only on opportunity, but it can work pretty much everywhere in Salesforce. And now I'm talking about the Salesforce opportunity. So if you don't have Sales Cloud, you won't have opportunity. You might be only using Krow, but everything I'm saying pretty much apply to all the Krow object as well. Okay. So what I want to do now is that Bill Bob was mentioning that the board liked our deck. So what we do at Drakya is that we're storing every information we have. Mainly, we're trying to use only one platform, but we also have Google and G Suite. So the deck is linked back into our Salesforce opportunity. So as you can see, this is my standard sales deck. So we're all about growth, your growth, and our growth. We're all about the vision of running everything on one platform. So the Salesforce platform with Krow on top. We do believe that implementation is the key to success, and that we can, and the idea is that we're going through a series of training and workshop with you guys to implement. And to come back to our to infinity deal, we can see here that this was the kind of estimate that was proposed to him. So Krow Community for 64 hours of implementation. He has specific requirements about languages, and the profile and security was a bit more tricky for this one. And then we provided some option as well, because we just developed a new thing recently about employee contract to be able to generate the employee contract. We're growing rapidly, so we wanted to standardize, and we want to optimize that process. So we have that modules now that this customer to Infinity is interested in. So this is the part that we want to add to the quote that's not been added so far. Okay, I'm hoping that I'm not going too much segue. Are you lost, David, or you're still following me?
Still with you. Yep.
Okay. So within an opportunity, you have something called product. It's a Salesforce thing. So you can add products. So here you can see I already have the Krow Community implementation. I'm going to add another one. So I'm going to add we have a product called Employee Contract Module. So I'm going to select this. The estimate has been done, and it was for 20 hours, our list price. And then by doing this, what it's doing, it's one of the first automation that we've done in our system. It's bringing all the information from the product. It's bringing it back here to the description of the product here. And as you can see, it's a rich text field. So we can put bullets, we can even put images with screenshot. And because I'm using a product, even if I'm doing services, so we can look at the Krow Community product afterwards, but we use product as services to describe what we're doing. And after that, by using those products, what can happen when we want to create a project is that we can have rules depending of You see here, this other product is called the Krow Community implementation. So this is the one at 64 hours. We have all the detail, again, some information about the way that we're going to implement. The idea is that it's saving a ton of time. Usually you just have to modify a little bit of information, but not a ton. And then when you want to create your project, like I was saying, you can trigger a template to create those tasks. So let me come back to that just in a few seconds. Okay, so now I've added both my products, so I would be good to go. So usually when I'm in the proposal price quote stage, what I need to do is I need to go in and looking at my statement of work and term section, and then adding information here. So this was the first one that's been generated. Now they added that new modules, the employee control modules here. So I need to change my screenshot in that in my Gantt chart here. So again, because we are even in the sales process, we are creating our projects. So you can see here in my key info section, I also have a project to link. I'm going to click on it. And maybe this is a view you're used to, or maybe not, but this is the standard way of view of Salesforce way of viewing a Krow project. So that Krow project has information within. As you can see, we have tasks, we have the invoices, so we have all the information, but this is the standard way of seeing things. Okay, what I want to do now is I want to go into view in Krow, so I'm going to hit that view in Krow button, and I want to add that new modules, because for forecasting and for planning, even if we are in the sales process, we are still creating our project, so our team can forecast and look at the backlog. So here I want to do an insert template. So again, this is a really good feature of Krow, so you can build your template the way you want. This is a task template. We're naming them Z just to make sure that they're going to be at the end of the list. So this is all like kind of small tips that you learn playing a lot with the system. So I'm going to insert that template right away. And now what it's doing is that in that Krow Community project, now we have the Krow Community with all the different tasks, but we also have the employee contract module with all the different tasks within. Okay, so now what I want to do is that I've added those. I want to look at the view Gantt, so I'm going to switch in the Gantt. And also my hours were already pre-built in my template, so I don't have to change anything. And maybe now I just want to realign a little bit my schedule. So maybe I want to just let me, this one we're going to start maybe, whoops, maybe in August. Or let me switch to a week view. So let's do it this way. They wanted to be live with this. This could be a quite easy, quick win for us. So we can maybe realign the rest of the project at the same time. So let's do like this. Okay. So I'm going to save. And now what I'm going to do here to be able to generate and get that Gantt chart, there's different way. Sometimes I do screenshot. I have a screenshot tool that's very useful. Otherwise, I can just do export to PNG, so standard Krow functionality. Now it's being added here. I'm going to go back to my opportunity in my statement of work section. I'm going to edit it. And now I'm just going to delete that one and insert the new one, which is landed my download section. So now we see we have that Gantt chart that's been put in place. Okay, I could have played a little bit more with the settings to have it better. So now I have the information. I know who I'm sending the contract to. All the information is there. We have the product. So now what we're ready to do is to generate that web merge document, so the invoice document or the service contract document. So this is going to be the base. For this, we're using web merge. It's an add-on to, it's an app on the App Exchange. It takes a Word template and it allows you to generate a PDF or a Word document, and then you can have multiple templates for different languages or one template for multiple company, and you can put all your logic into it. So now I'm just going to preview, and actually I'm going to merge at the same time, so I can always preview to see if everything is fine. And now I'm taking a gamble because I should have to change the layout of the image. Let me just generate it this way for now. So now the document has been generated. The beauty that's been, if I'm looking in the highlight section here, in the file section, I can see it's been added. So I have it now stored in Salesforce. It could be also in the proposal object of Krow if you're using that proposal object. So we can do the exact same thing in the proposal object. So we can see the file is now attached. And one optimization that you guys should do is sending some of your email through Salesforce. So for this, what I'm doing is I have an email template for a new proposal. We have one in French and English, so a service contract in English. I'm going to insert. So it's taking the recipient first name, so I'm going to send it to Bill Bob. Bill Bob, this contact here. So you see it put the subject, it put also a reference to the title of the statement of work. Do I have a statement of work title? Yeah, to Infinity Krow Community. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to attach the file that was just generated. So that file here. And this email now is good to go. So within a few minutes, I've been able to email prefix, not the good Bill Bob. Bill Bob at success, this one. Okay, so this being done, now we're checking the email. So you can see it's unopened. So as soon as we're going to flip back to a Gmail and we're going to open it, we're going to know within Salesforce. So within a few minutes, I've been able to add an additional product, regenerate a quoting document, update my project for forecasting. And one last thing that needs to be done, let's say if I'm just going back here to my to Infinity email list, I can see that I've received a contract. The PDF we just generated is here with all the information. So again, the deliverables here, the different project, the template, the number of amount, so you can generate any kind of document. And now, because we've done such a good job, what we're going to do is that Bill Bob is going to accept. So now we're going to switch the opportunity to close one. So let's do that right away. And now we have some confetti falling. So this is something Salesforce just added. You can change the frequency. I'm not sure. It's still good. I would like to still hear other things like a big, you know, with the NHL, you had those big red bells and lights. Probably we could hook that as well to Salesforce. Okay, so we close one. What do we want to do now? It's to go notify our product team or our operation team, our professional service team. So I'm going to do an automation to Dominic. So Dominic, we have a new customer. So I'm going to keep it simple. So now Dominic is aware. We could have done other automation as well. What we want to do now, if I'm looking at my script, we would change probably the project owner. If I'm not taking the role of the project manager, I could have assigned this to Krow. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to kind of switch responsibility and move out of the sales close one portion and now move back into the more of project management side of things. Any question, David, on the sales side? I'm going to look on the Q&A.
So far so good.
Chat. Okay. Okay, so in terms of the project, so the context is I didn't want to do a full Krow demo. David, you're awesome. I would suggest, and I think we're going to look at it later, but I suggest everybody to look at your sneak peek of the new release coming in July to see the functionality and add-on that's going to be added to what I'm going to show today. But I just want to maybe show a couple of optimization that we've done in our system on top of Krow and the way that we operate. So this is the context for it. So I've opened the project again in the standard view. One thing that has been tricky, and it's still a bit tricky in Salesforce, is how to deal with the related objects. So this is key. You want to know all the tasks that are linked to a project. You want to know all the invoices that are linked to it. So in the past, I didn't really like that component, but from now I've been kind of a fan. So the related list quick links, it's always great to see all that information at a glance, just by hovering, and then you can open up the task. Let's say I want to open this one. It's going to open up on the side. So that's one way of seeing your related. And with part of the summer release now, that's really good. Before we were limited to only 4 columns here. Now, if you're selecting the NN's list, you can put whatever amount of column. I think the maximum now is 10, but at least you have that. You can do mass changes, but you cannot do any inline editing yet. At least I don't know how to yet. So for that, we have an act that we're going to be able to look maybe a bit in a few seconds. But at least this is an improvement in the new Salesforce release. Okay. So what do we want to do here? We want I just want to look at the checklist. So this is kind of the act that I've mentioned. So I'm going to just sort for the for that specific project. So we are using checklists, Krow checklists within our project. It's just that with that list view here, we're exposing all the checklists of the entire project. So usually in the Krow UI, you will need to go in a task to see them. But since it's a Salesforce object, we've exposed it with the list view. So now we can see all the tasks. One of them here, we can see it's in the ask and receive Word template of the actual employee contract. So we're using those checklists within those tasks to be able to track. Okay, so that's one way to also to work with the list view within an object. Okay, what I want to do now is view in Krow. And usually what the project manager would do, we just received that new contract, so he's going to assign resources. I didn't say that, or I don't think I've shown it either, is that here, all our resources, we're using placeholders. So those are not real user or real resources. They are placeholder for forecasting. But now we want to change to real people. So we're going to assign some task to Dominic. And then one cool thing that we want to do, and one cool thing we're just adding to our system. So again, this is a sneak peek. We're not live yet, but this is the kind of improvement we're doing. So now we're implementing ourselves that community. That community, what we'll be able to do is that for example, what I want to do, I want to create a task, but for my customer. So I want to create a task for Bill Bob. So what I'm going to do is that it's going to be called homework. And it's going to be a send initial contract, employee contract document. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create that task and I'm going to assign it to Bill Bob. So Bill Bob is also a resource in our system. So now Bill Bob has a task in our system, and we're going to see in a few seconds, but Bill Bob is going to be able to actually see his task in our community. So for now, we just assign that task to him, and then we assign all the different tasks to the other people with him. Okay, so let's jump in. Let's jump into the community right away. So for us, we called it My Drakya. So it's My Drakya. All of your customer that you want to give them an access to the community, they are going to become a user of your Salesforce. And then they also have credentials to be able to log in your system. So now I'm just going to log in as Bill Bob. Again, we're not live. This is still work in progress, but this is kind of a sneak peek of what the functionality, not the look and feel, but the functionality is going to look like. So you can see there's a couple of things first. So if we're just looking at the big icons, we have homework, support, invoices, and growth. So mainly the homework we're going to give you. If you have cases, you see here that, yeah, Bill Bob is running another project with us, and he's having some issue with some of his stuff. He's going to have access to a list of invoices and all the documentation as well. On the right side, you can see eventually we'll have chatter. But the thing I want to show now, because we just assigned a task to Bob, is that now in my work, we're going to be able to expose my work the same way you're seeing my work in your environment for your task. We can assign a task to my work within the community. So you see that new task that we created for him, he has it, is not started. He can go in working. And I forgot, I should have created, because that's the cool thing as well, because we were looking at checklists before. But within here, the task itself, I'm back in our Salesforce. I would add, let's say, send contract and send. I'm going to add 2 checklist items, so send NDA. Okay, so 2 checklist item that Bob needs to do to complete his task. And now I'm not sure if I need to reload. Let's try without. If I'm going into the activity, you see I have those two tasks. So Bob is really happy. He has its task. He already sent, or he can even, the beauty is going to be able to not send it by email, but he's going to be able to notify Dominic. And he's going to also be able to add some files to it. So all within our community. So now it's going to be a central point. Everything's going to be there. He's going to be able to refer to it every time you want. So he's going to mention Dominic. And let me just go back to canceling that post, just so I can go in and check my 2 completed tasks. And now, if my settings were okay, now the task would have been marked as completed as well. I won't show him as much information as this. This again, it's the profile and security is going to take care of this. So he's going to only see his task and only the details I want him to see. But that's the idea behind it. So now he has completed his task. Now Dominic has been notified on our side. We have the document. We can go on and continue. So that's pretty cool. And that's part of Salesforce community, but with the Krow access of that community. Anything to add, David, on the community process?
No, I will add one thing for those customers that are on the webinar today that are Krow customers. One of the nice features in the summer release that will be available at the end of next week is on the card view, whether it be for customers or even for standard users, you'll be able to visually see indicators if a checklist exists, if files exist, if time exists, and so forth on that Kanban or card view you were showing, even without having to click on the task itself. The other one that I was going to mention just briefly, when you're on the project page on the standard record view, one of the major enhancements for those customers on the call that did not attend the readiness call for the summer release is, as you were showing the tasks here, Yannick, we now have a new Lightning component to embed the Gantt chart directly in this project page so they can do inline editing of tasks, add new tasks, and manage the Gantt chart overall directly from the standard record view, among other things, but those are 2 highlights that I thought I'd mention.
Yeah, and those will be awesome. For now, for me, the best way is still open up the standard view and then clicking those buttons here, View in Krow, Project Gantt, and Resource Plan. But with that new release, for sure, I'm going to use those components within our page. And Dominic, I know, is going to be welcoming those as well a lot, and I'm pretty sure all your customer will. It's going to be a great improvement. Okay, so now we only have 10 minutes left on our scheduled time, so I'm going to try to go fast. Usually what's going to happen next, I should have stayed in View in Krow, is people are going to log time, they're going to log expenses, your customer are going to send you information, you're going to track, collaborate. So now what I want to do is maybe I can log a little bit of time on that specific task here. So I'm going to go in. I'm using a lot. I'm not sure if your customer are, but I'm using a lot the start and stop timer when I'm logging time for my customer. So let's say I'm doing 3 hours here for the project and communication. Let me go a little bit more than this. So 7. Taking a note. I'm gonna save. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I want to move more to the generation of invoice and to the visibility of those invoices. So if I go and generate invoice. I'm going to look for today only, and let me just privacy just generate. So I'm going to create that invoice. Okay, so I've created that new invoice for our project called To Infinity Krow Community. As you can see in that invoice, we have 8 hours of labor hours. We have, if we're looking at the related information here, we have 1 line item. The line item we just input it in, but we also have an expense item for if we're looking at the detail. It's for travel, so for an airfare travel with the document attached. So this would be the information related to the invoice. Again, if you need tax or anything, I'm sure your team are used to dealing with invoices. One of the cool thing, and this is definitely something everybody needs. We've built several dashboards, but there's one project-specific dashboard that we're using. So, and this one we're filtering it for the project name. So I'm going to refresh the data here. And this is the data only for the project star to infinity community. And I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. So what I like to do is that when I'm sending in my invoice, I like to take a screenshot of this and sending it as well to my customers, so they have a status update at the same time. Now with the community, they're going to have access to it all the time, but still, at least on the invoice, I like to be transparent in terms of what our team has done and where we're moving forward with. So let me just redo my screenshot. This is something that I do quite often. I use a screenshot, then if I need to resize, I resize, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, as you've seen before, I'm gonna just paste it in my, whoops. I wasn't so bad. Oh, here you go. It's because I was in full screen. So I'm here I have a chart section. I guess, again, it's a rich text field, so I'm just gonna paste my image here that I just took. And then I'm gonna save. There's no adjustment to be made. So now again, the power of it is that with web merge, I have a bit more flexibility in terms of what I want to do. So if you have complex grouping, if you want to show or hide some details, depending on some specific rules, then it's really useful to have this that feature set of web merge for your invoice. Again, I'm gonna merge now, and I'm gonna do the preview. So here I have the preview, so I can see I have that deliverable, 8 hours, the travel that we just charged, that document, the images, and then all the notes that we've created within the system. And now the next thing with that document, again, it's coming back to the standard Salesforce stuff, but on the right side here, what we do have, it's a template. So we have a template to send our invoices. So it's really easy for us to do it. We could have automated it, but we're not at that point now. So I didn't select the proper template for now. This would be a standard invoice template. So this will put information, the start date and then the end date, the balance, the amount, again, attaching it so you can easily track. And what this is allowing us to do is that here in the list view, again, this is an awesome tools of Salesforce, the different list view, you should all have those. So I can have a list view of my unpaid invoice. So you can see that, our bill bob has 2 invoices. There's one past due invoice with this one here, the 89. So what we could have done is that the same time that we're sending that new invoice to him, but we can also then don't forget to pay the pending invoice. And actually what we're going to do next is we're going to put the link to the portal. So actually what's going to happen is that, do I still have the portal open? Yeah, so here when I'm logged back as Bill Bob, as you can see on the right, so if you're going to my invoice, now you can see the list of all his invoice. And again, depending on what we want to show, now we're showing way too much, but you can go in the 89, you will see all the details here. But again, and you can also see the graph. So we're going to decide which information we want to show to our customer, but you can have all the details here. So I think
I'll just jump in with a quick question, if I may.
Yeah, go for it.
And I think I know the answer, but I think it would be great for everyone on the webinar to hear. So obviously, Krow delivers a standard invoice PDF and emailing of invoice with certain configuration available for those invoices that we deliver. What was the main decision point in using web merge for your invoice PDFs in this example, as opposed to using our delivered invoice? And my assumption is the configurability of it and what you want to display and how you want to display it and import or inserting those images that you show. But maybe you can just comment on that.
Yeah, usually it's a little bit of branding, but a lot in regards of grouping. So, and we do have customers that want to group in a completely different way that the standard Krow object would track. So they have products linked to the other stuff. So they want to group in a specific way, and for that it would be custom work on your side to be on the Krow side to be able to achieve that in your package. So when you have edge cases, or when you want really somebody that needs to have the look and feel with really hard branding or difficult branding to do within your existing template, then we would recommend using WebMerge, but it has a lot to do with the grouping of information.
Sure. Another follow-up question to that I think the attendees might be interested in. WebMerge obviously has very similar functionality to Conga, as well as other kind of web merge or merge type functionality delivered in Salesforce. Maybe you can comment on why you decided to use WebMerge as opposed to Conga or another tool. Obviously, I think WebMerge is a little bit cheaper from a price perspective and how they price, but maybe you can comment on that quickly.
In terms of pricing, they have two different models. One is volume-based, WebMerge is volume-based, and Conga is user license-based, last I've seen. I love Conga. Conga is a great tool too. So for this, we're going to rely on our customers. So if you guys are already using Conga and you want us to configure Conga, I know that Krow is already coming with the out-of-the-box template with Conga, so definitely we can help you out with Conga. For us, it's in terms of the logic we wanted to put in, it was a bit easier to do it in WebMerge, and we like the volume-based pricing that WebMerge had to offer. Yeah, but Conga is also a great product.
Thanks, Ian.
And this is it. I think this is the entirety of the demo. I don't have anything else to show. I hope you guys find it interesting and you at least pick up one or two things that you can do in your org. Don't hesitate if you need our help to set you up or to hook you up with some of the configuration we did. It's going to be our pleasure.
Well, great. Thanks, Yannick, for joining today. I really appreciate it. If I can try to summarize, and we'll talk about next steps for anyone that has any questions, for whether it be for Yannick or for Krow in general, we'll make sure that you can send us information or contact us, and we'll get back to you on any questions you have based on today's webinar. As I stated, you also have a recording of the webinar available as well. But in summary, Yannick, what I've seen today is just how you're managing your services business with obviously Salesforce and Krow and WebMerge all in one environment in the Salesforce platform. The ability to manage your opportunities right through to creation of products and contracts and proposals with WebMerge, to creating and managing those projects from the opportunity and staffing those projects. And you're going to be rolling out the community to engage your customer directly in managing that project, as well as invoices information, and of course unpaid invoices as well, right through to invoice generation for your business, obviously services business in this case. So the benefit and the power of having it all in one platform, I'm sure is a significant advantage and benefit to your organization. So, with that, I want to thank everyone for joining the webinar today. I hope you found it valuable in what Drakya is doing today and how it could benefit your organization. As I mentioned, if you do have any questions or even would like to get in contact with Yannick and Drakya, please reach out to us. For now, you can reach out to us directly at contact@krowsoftware.com, or you can visit our website at krowsoftware.com as well and contact us directly from there. And depending on your question, we'll get you in touch directly with Yannick, or provide the answer for you directly by email. So again, contact at krowsoftware.com or visit our website at krowsoftware.com. Want to again thank everyone for attending today. Hope to hear from you soon. Thanks,
everyone.